NRG's ex-head coach Chet recently revealed on stream that he paid a small portion of Demon1 and Ethan's buyouts from Evil Geniuses, and it's left everyone wondering why NRG didn't just pay it all themselves. But is it really that unusual?
Before we get started with this episode of Don't At Me, I wanted to hop in to thank our friends at iBuyPower, the official PC of VCT Americas, for sponsoring this video. Earlier this year, iBuyPower sent us to LA to experience all of the excitement of NA Valorant in person. The pros love their iBuyPower PCs, and if you want to work and play like a pro, check out iBuyPower's high-quality pre-built PCs and use our code for some sweet discounts at ibp.gg/thescore. You can get 5% off customs over $999 and $50 off of RDYs over $999. Now, let's get back into today's story.
Alright, so it's no secret that NRG's season didn't exactly end the way that they would have hoped.
Goes for that second time as the satchel comes up. The death split coming through. Not enough time. Moves comes out for the kill. Cloud9, welcome to the playoffs.
They threw a 12-5 lead against C9, killing any hope for them to not only make playoffs, but also any chance to qualify for an international LAN in 2024. Yep, NRG's season is over in July. And even as a C9 fan, it genuinely hurt me seeing some of the player reactions after the match. It just felt like this was probably the last time that we would see this roster together. But even if I do think that the VCT schedule is complete in 2024, let's talk about what went wrong with NRG, because at the start of the season, this roster looked like one of the best teams on paper. With Chet still at the helm, Marv made a return to the X-Optic core, and NRG added 2 world champions in Ethan and Demon1. But the one worry that everyone had for this roster was whether or not Ethan was capable of taking over as the main IGL for the first time in his career. And even though he wanted to, looking back, it didn't exactly work out. NRG failed to qualify for Madrid and Shanghai, so they decided to bring back FNS and SOM, meaning they finally had a proper IGL. I remember when rumors started floating around about Sadak joining or a possible FNS return, I asked Potter if she thought that this would fix things at NRG, and here's what she had to say.
I don't have a strong opinion, but yeah, for sure. Ethan is too good to be stuck overthinking these rounds. He's too good as a second voice. So yeah, having a little bit of relief in his department in Sadak will be insane.
And looking back, I do think that NRG looked better in stage 2 with FNS as the IGL. They just had too big of an uphill battle to climb in such little time. When you're playing against rosters who have been together all season long while SOM and FNS were at home watch partying games, yeah, it's gonna take time to get back up to speed. And unfortunately, they just ran out of time. But last month, an article posted to HLTV suggested that Chet might be eyeing a return to Counter-Strike. However, earlier this week, he was released by NRG alongside Victor. And according to Chet, that HLTV article from last month may have played a factor.
As far as I understand, the players didn't want me released from NRG. It was mainly just a management decision. For whatever reason, that article that released on HLTV influenced the decision a lot for them. And yeah, that just is what it is. Even though I haven't thought about moving at all, they just left a bad taste.
Now, Chet went on to discuss a lot of things on that same stream, like all the different players that NRG considered signing at the start of the year. This list included players like Aspas, Ye, and Narrate, among others. But there's one thing in particular that Chet said on his stream that's making all the headlines.
Dude, I gave a little bit of money to pay for Ethan and Demon1's buyout, and the fact that they it was blindsided, but the fact that they didn't keep me in the loop more often towards the end is kind of up.
Yeah, Chet paid a small portion of Ethan and Demon1's buyouts from EG at the start of the season. But that clip left everyone wondering why NRG just didn't pay the whole thing to begin with. So I asked them. I reached out to NRG's chief gaming officer, Jamie, for a comment, and he said, quote, "It was Chet's idea. He offered to do so without prompting, and it was simply a deduction from his future cut from digital items," end quote. Now, we don't know exactly how much Chet contributed, but he did say on stream that it was in the low 5 figures. But Jamie also mentioned that this stuff happens all the time in esports. Whether you hear about it is just a different story. Some of you might might even remember Yakindar buying out his contract from Virtus Pro back in 2022 so he could join Team Liquid sooner. So the whole thing might not be as crazy as some people are making it out. Also, Chet admitted that he regrets it. That's just how bad he wanted Ethan and Demon1 at the time. But now, what's next for Chet? I've seen a lot of people blaming him and calling him a fraud for months now because of how bad NRG underperformed this season, and I do think that he should shoulder some of the blame, but at the same time, I also sympathize with the guy. I'll admit that when he first came to Valorant, I was super skeptical about his whole mentality towards the game. It seemed like he was just looking down on Valorant pros.
Like, I came from like beating like Device and like Astralis and all these people, like big names, and then you switch over to people that you don't really respect them as much, like on other teams, and they could just kind of own you, and it's a little demoralizing if that happens. Like, and people do like really weird things in Valorant. Like, it's not like they don't like think about their actions too much. Where like if I was playing like a Olaf or whatever, like they are more planned out in what they do. But in Valorant, it feels like more puggy. Like the puggy plays are more valid in this game. And it kind of like takes away from like the teamwork aspect.
That video was from midway through 2021 when Chet had just joined TSM, and I remember thinking maybe this dude just isn't cut out for this game. But then he proved me wrong, even if he did drop bang. He accomplished a hell of a lot with Optic, winning Masters Reykjavik with them, and NRG was a solid team throughout last year, even if things didn't end the way they would have hoped. I think we're seeing a lot of knee-jerk reactions and hate thrown at Chet because he's never been someone to shy away from just speaking his mind. The Valorant and esports community also suffers from a lot of recency bias too. One week I see people calling teams the best in the world, and the next week they call them frauds. I think part of it is due to how crappy the schedule is and how few games each team gets to play and how few chances they get to prove themselves. That, combined with different agent metas, lack of spray patterns, and even some shitty maps, Icebox, can sometimes make the esport feel very random. Players and teams are often the product of the game's state, but I don't think that's a reason to just completely forget someone's past. For a lot of people, this year has put a stain on an otherwise impressive coaching career, but whatever Chet decides to do next, he's earned my respect. Even if he decides to go back to Counter-Strike, I think he's made his mark on Valorant. When he looks back at everything he's accomplished in this game, he should be proud. But what's next for the rest of NRG? Well, based on what Chet was saying on stream and the fact that they literally just rejoined the roster, I think it's pretty likely that FNS and SOM stay. Ethan and Demon1 are also signed until the end of 2025, so I think it's pretty likely that NRG line up with those four plus Crashies next year. I know a lot of people want to see Crashies go, but personally, I still think he has a lot to give. NRG didn't get a proper offseason this year because of how long it took to finalize the Ethan and Demon1 buyouts from EG, but now that they have 6 or more months of the offseason, this gives them a chance to work out any potential role issues. Lastly, there's still a vacant coaching spot at NRG, and I've seen a lot of people suggesting that they should sign Potter. And honestly, I'd be down. Potter continues to exceed expectations, and she's proved she's one of the best coaches in the world. But we're already beginning to see signs that this year's offseason might get a little wild. Valorant is extremely cutthroat, especially at the highest level. If you're not performing, then you'll probably get replaced. As Chet said on stream, he's already heard some crazy rumors, so I'm looking forward to seeing roster mania unfold. Last week I celebrated my birthday, and I spent most of the day just playing RuneScape, and on my birthday I got the single greatest mage weapon in RuneScape. Please just be a Fang. Give me a Fang on my birthday or a Shadow, please. Please. What? What the f? What? Dude, what the f? What the f? What the f? Oh my god. Oh my god.